This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today is Thursday, August the 31st, 2023. The 8th month is at an end. We're so glad you could join us. Coming up a little later in the program, I talk with Iowa 3rd District Congressman Zach Nunn. We also take a look at that ag weather outlook. But first, let's run down the markets. It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. Well, we're at the end of another trading day, and we're turning to Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net. Kaden, it's been an interesting back and forth kind of week. What did we see going out of this Thursday?
Yeah, we're ending the month today, obviously, August 31st, and ending the marketing year as well. And you've seen really the bean market, I guess, faring the worst of the three today. Opened decent. We're going to close down close to 20 cents. Saw a lot of selling come in here in the last hour or two. So, read into that what you will. It is the end of the month, but at the same time, I do think we were maybe a little bit inflated on weather concerns. Earlier in the week, corn's going to close down about 2 cents, wheat down 2 or 3 as well.
All right. And of course, we know that, now we're going to see first notice on September, new marketing year, as we're all aware of, like you were saying. And exports really weren't that great this year, not quite what USDA had intended, was it?
No, last year, certainly not what USDA intended. Definitely lower than the last 2-3 years. And as well, I just was looking at new crop exports, what we have on the books right now. I think I just saw that for corn and beans, both were like the second lowest that we've had at this date for new crop in the last 15 years. So, in my opinion, there's just a ton of debate out right now about what yield's going to be for both corn and beans. That demand story's got my attention more so than yield. If we don't start getting rid of this thing, you're going to need a major yield cut to keep carryout even close to, under 2 billion bushels. And I guess in my opinion, we're not at that point right now.
And so, we heard from the guys that were out in Farm Progress and on the way between here and there about how the crops look and seeing some brown corn, some brown beans already. That's not necessarily good. We're used to seeing it start to dry down, but still not quite good this time of year.
No, you're right. I think definitely, at least in my area, which is, I guess, all I should speak about, I think we'll be lower than last year. A month ago, I would have said, we were in pretty good shape to be better. We've just been so hot and dry the last month. We're not finishing real strong. Don't think, test weight, kernel weight's going to quite be there. But yeah, what you're seeing there is exactly what we're seeing here. We are realistically going to start harvest picking corn next week. Pulled a few years Monday, we were 26%, and we're a good 10 days ahead of where we typically would be for that. We did get planted pretty early as well, so that plays a part. But like I said, I thought we were in better shape than last year. We just not finished well, and this crop just dried down so fast that like a lot of people are saying, I do think yield's going to be a little bit lower than maybe we thought a month ago, and most of that coming from poor test weight.
All right, so switching to the livestock side of things, Kaden, what did we see out of those cattle and hogs today?
Yeah, kind of, I guess, a little bit opposite of yesterday. Both cattle markets off the October up about 80 cents, and hogs down, going to close down about $1 here today. Kind of giving back some of yesterday's gains. So the hog market tried to make new highs, going to come back down. And the cattle market as well. We just keep flirting back and forth those 20 and 50-day moving averages. That's been the cattle market here the last couple of months, and continues to be the case.
And, cattle's been riding high for so long. You got to think that eventually it might be a point where it turns around, right?
Yeah, you'd think so. And cattle producers, I think, are doing a pretty good job. The few cattle producers that I talk with, pretty interested in buying puts up here. Pretty wildly profitable, but at the same time, it's been well documented how supply is down this year. We're kind of in the part of the calendar where demand starts to come down as well. But you just have such small herds, I guess, if you will, that especially compared to last year, that prices, I think, will stay fairly supported. But at the same time, like I said, a lot of people are pretty interested here in locking something in just because of how well the balance sheet looks and the cash flow at the end of the year.
All right. Well, if folks want to think about what they should be doing for the next marketing year, or even what they should be doing at this point right now with livestock marketing and all that, what's the best way for them to get in touch with agmarket.net and get some advice?
Yes, sir. Just go to our website, agmarket.net. Start a 30-day free trial with us on everything that we offer. Certainly a good time of year for it. Going into harvest instead of paying storage, sell cash and just agree on paper, take all the risk off the table is the biggest thing that we're doing right now.
And that again was Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net. Let's take a look at the closing numbers. Those come to us courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. September corn down 3/4 at 461 even. December down 2 1/2 at 478 1/4. September beans down 21 1/4 at 1360 even. November down 18 at 1368 3/4. Soy meal down $6.30 at 404.70. Soy oil down 16 cents at 63.93. December Chicago wheat down a nickel at 602 even. Minneapolis wheat down 12 3/4 at 766 3/4. Kansas wheat down 4 1/2 at 727 1/4. December oats down 7 at 493 1/4. October live cattle 77 cents higher at 180.82. September feeders 65 cents higher at 253.27. Lean hogs down about $1.05 at 82.55. Pork cutouts 28 cents lower at 110.72. Class 3 milk up a penny 17.19. And that's been our ag weather 3, 2, 1. And that's been our ag market recap. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I talk with Iowa 3rd District Congressman Zach Nunn. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ampm from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Well, when we talk about things going on in Congress, we know that they are now going to be returning from their August recess. A few of the things that we're going to be talking about are a farm bill and also the EATS Act in opposition to Prop 12 out of California. I talked with Iowa 3rd District Congressman Zach Nunn at the State Fair, and here's his remarks on what's going to be happening as they go back into session. Talking right now with 3rd District Congressman Zach Nunn. Thanks so much for taking the time to visit with us today.
I am privileged to be out here, and we have the best possible day for the State Fair, if I'm right. I mean, it's nice, mid-70s, people are out here, the boulevard's full, every parking lot's packed. That's the way it should be.
Exactly. Even yesterday it was a little cooler, but people said, you know what, I'm not going to complain because they know it's coming later in the week.
That's right, exactly.
It wouldn't be August if it wasn't warm at the fair. So first of all, let's talk about, you've been all out at the fair here. Talk about what you've been hearing from people, what you're talking about with especially the farmers.
Absolutely. Well, so I mean, I grew up showing sheep just down the road here at the sheep barn, and we've just been talking with a lot of livestock guys who feel there's a huge value in getting young farmers into this. In fact, one of the bills that we've been advancing in Washington, I get to sit on the Ag Committee, which is wonderful for a first-time member of Congress. But we are talking about an industry, whether it's livestock or row crop, where the majority of farmers in Iowa are getting close to being, 60 and over. 70-year-old farmers are now almost 40% of guys doing ag today. So we want to find good on-ramps for, former military guys like myself coming back into the industry. All the young kids that are out here showing 4-H and FFA, how do they have an on-ramp? And do it in a way that's feasible, because as we've seen, whether it's the Chinese buying farmland or out-of-state groups coming in to buy up entities within Iowa, we've got to make sure that young kids have the opportunity to become the farmers that they want, who will feed and fuel the next generation of America. And that starts right here. So it's been really good to see it firsthand. Young people getting excited about it and saying, I've got a future in ag here in Iowa.
And that's always a tough thing, because in fact, you look at what the price per land is doing. We just set the record earlier in the year, $30,000 an acre. I mean, that's just ridiculous amounts of money. And to get started, you have to be capital intensive. That's not easy to do.
No, and so I think it's twofold. Look, we've got a family farm, and it was split up amongst the 6 kids. Even if one of those kids wants to go and start farming, that means they've got to be able to buy out the other 5. And even if they want to sell it to you, if you've got a Chinese group that has cash in hand and is going to pay, a time and a half what that acre is worth, it's almost impossible to say no. The other aspect is we've made it very difficult under the USDA for a new farmer to get in. They got to have almost 3 years of farm time before they even qualify for these loans or low interest grants. And as a result, we've made the uphill climb for a young farmer incredibly difficult. Can you imagine any other world where you'd have to go in and spend 3 years probably getting mentored by your grandfather or a neighbor just to be able to have the opportunity to come farm, even if you got a 4-year degree? We want to make the pathway right. If you're doing time on the farm, if you're working with an experienced farmer, and if you're doing the kind of things that really get livestock or row crop in the ground, it gives you the opportunity to start farming, right out of the gate versus waiting, longer than it takes most people to get an AA degree in this kind of stuff.
So also, you mentioned Chinese purchase of land. Luckily in Iowa, we do have a law in the books that we're trying to kind of basically model on for the federal level. I mean, how is that going? Are we seeing bipartisan support for something like that?
We are, and I serve on the China Commission, so we see directly where China is trying to buy up not only rare earth minerals, but they're trying to buy key commodity products, and that's everything from hog farms to row crop land. And as a result, a lot of this is not just a national security interest like what we saw in the Dakotas, where they're buying up near military bases like my own Air Force base where I've been stationed, but also in places where they're trying to get a key control of a market. So not only do they control the price, but they have a real bootstrap on whether they have the ability to decide what farm market is going to be sold here in the U.S. and how it's going to be sold the world over. So I think it's really important that we talk not only in a bipartisan way, but in a farm bill way to make sure this is protected for the next 5 years to really keep an American industry strong, thriving, and secure.
So as long as we're talking about China, another thing you and I have talked about in the past is Prop 12.
Right.
And so we know that there's a whole thing of where does the state right leave off? Where do the states' rights who are selling in that marketplace take over? But also there are concerns when we talk about the EATS Act, which you've been a big sponsor of, to make sure that we're not opening the door for more intrusion of Chinese-owned companies maybe to take over the market share. How do we protect that and protect the individual farmers here, the independent farmers?
So this is huge. I think the independent farmers need to be at the forefront of this conversation. Look, you have a lot of small farmers who want to sell hog at market. They also have a huge market in California. California politicians made the call to put a very weirdly worded proposition together that got voted on and largely supported by animal rights activists. That's fair, but when it went to the court, we got a lot of strange feedback back from our Supreme Court justices, many who are trying to identify, where does the Commerce Clause ensure that states, under the 10th Amendment, have the ability to define what they want? At the same time, Congress has a role, and I think that the Justice Gorsuch, who wrote the opinion here that upheld Proposition 12, he differentiated from the liberal groups, but he said, Congress has to act. We have to define this. Imagine a situation where California said, anybody who wants to sell agriculture or any product in California has to meet the California minimum wage threshold of, let's say, $16, $17. Imagine a red state perhaps putting a requirement out there that if you don't have documented workers, then you can't sell your product in our state. There has to be a balance here, and this is why I think Congress, through the Farm Bill, can really protect small and medium farms who are trying to do it the right way, but prevent a large and powerful state to define the entire market, which then oftentimes gets taken up not by Congress, but by the administration trying to write regulations into EPA or the USDA's overall ban here. So Congress, and I'm a member, needs to stand up and do its job. I'm 7 months on the job, and I'm very proud to be on the Ag Committee. That's why I'm helping write the legislation to make it better.
So we talk about that too, with the whole idea of 50 states with 50 different regulations. That's a burden. But also, like you said, this is not just agriculture, and it's good to do a slippery slope. Or let's say Iowa wants to get stinky about it and say, hey, we're going to build a regulation on how you can produce almonds before you can sell them here in our state.
Absolutely. Well, what if just every state that touched the western side of the Mississippi River said, hey, you can't pass that through our state unless you meet our standard of definition. We'd effectively cut down interstate commerce around the entire country. So I don't think that's what the Supreme Court ever intended. I don't think that's what individual states want to see. It's certainly not what the American people want, and no producer, whether you're in the Garden of Eden in California or whether you're in hog heaven right here in Iowa, wants to be limited in that. So let's be smart about this. Let's work together. Let's not put up artificial roadblocks, and let's make sure Congress is actually passing pieces of legislation that provide clarity for the courts so that our justices can move forward.
All right, so any other topics that you're really hitting on here during the state fair?
Hey, you know what? We're really big. I'm a tech guy. I spent many years in the U.S. Air Force flying counterintelligence missions. National security is ag security and vice versa. Ag security means America's national security. We've been fighting hard here on, the types of cyber intrusions that are happening not only to rural America, but particularly in our ag industry. It's one of the top 5 areas for cyber criminals to come after. You could shut down an entire, livestock facility with one HVAC closure. You could ruin an entire harvest of crop if you're messing with the types of irrigation that go on. We want to make sure that Americans have access not only to the food that feeds the world, but also to the type of cybersecurity that makes sure our adversaries don't have the ability to exploit what we're doing. So we're excited on this. We've led the legislation, and ultimately, this has got to be a bipartisan solution. We're working with Republicans and Democrats. Nikki Baczynski, she is the top soybean producer from Illinois. I like to say we're the top corn producer here in Iowa. We've worked together in a bipartisan way to make sure we can get bills like this forward through the Senate to the president's desk and actually protecting the American people. It's really, really important.
And that again was Iowa 3rd District Congressman Zach Nunn. And now let's take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, a beautiful day met us here in central Iowa today. It's going to get a little more toasty tomorrow, but then Mother Nature is going to turn the heat up a little more again over the weekend, kind of returning almost to the levels we saw last week. How long will that last? Well, that's anybody's guess, but let's take a look at how the next 24 hours will shape up, courtesy of the National Weather Service. Well, it's pretty well a basic forecast out there here for the rest of the week. Today, sunny skies. Highs will be in the low to mid 80s. Tonight, clear skies and cool. Hot lows will be in the upper 40s to around the low 60s. But tomorrow, sunny skies and a bit warmer. We're going to see highs in the upper 80s to the low 90s. Taking a look at the affiliate weather map now for you for tomorrow. Cherokee up in the northwest will be the hot spot. Look for sunny skies and 92. Shenandoah sunny and 87. Des Moines and Waterloo both sunny skies and 88. And Albion and Clinton will both see sunny skies and a high of 86 degrees. That's been our ag weather outlook. For more detailed forecasts in your area, tune to your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliates. And with that, we're at the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and our YouTube channel. While you're on the YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified each time we put out a new video product. Also, don't forget about our free market podcasts, which are available on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Riley Smith and Mark Magnuson and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.